Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
For centuries, ancient cultures knew the secrets to longevity, vitality, and healing. Now, modern science is catching up. Ageless Blueprint is a podcast that will reveal the modern secrets of better health and a better life. Join Dr. Eldred Taylor here today and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. As together we discover the secrets to better health through science and spirituality. A Better Life with Ageless Blueprint starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Hello, I am Dr. Eldred Taylor, and I am your host for the Ageless Blueprint. And I am the spiritual MD, and I'm also called the hormone doctor. And today I want to talk about learning is remembering. You know, I think I started this podcast a little less than a year ago. And I just remember that this was just a thought in my head that I wanted to start talking about longevity, and maybe primarily because I'm trying to make sure at 65 that I don't necessarily know if I'm going to live longer, but I just want to make sure that I live life to the fullest for as long as I live, whether I only live till tomorrow or today. I just want to make sure that I live life to the fullest. So I started out saying that I wanted to do longevity medicine. And what I remembered is that as I was taking the course in longevity medicine, it was really just rehashing things that I had been talking about for the last 20 years. They were talking about hormones. They were talking about stress. And those are the two books that I wrote. Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? Me and my wife wrote Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? And the stress connection. And I'm like, wait a minute, I have been talking about longevity medicine longer than I thought. Now, the one thing that I did learn is that every lesson I learned about longevity, they talked about the importance of spirituality in longevity medicine. And I was just wondering, what are they talking about? What are they talking about with spirituality? Are they talking about Catholicism, Protestant? No, they're talking about spirituality. They're not saying that religion gives you a longer life, but a connection to a higher power seems to give people a longer life. And if it's not a longer life, it's a more fulfilling life, a more abundant life, and not abundant in money, but just an abundant life with family, friends, and love being the primary motivator of any of your actions and any of your relationships. So I started remembering, and I started remembering some of the lectures because really I'm trying to get information for my school group. We're starting a coaching platform for people to learn about hormone clarity. And I started going over some of my previous lectures that I did 10 or 15 years ago. And I'm like, this information is ageless. And when I came up with Ageless Blueprint, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I want to talk about ageless information, is that we remember things that have worked in the past. You don't necessarily always have to have something new to be effective. There's a quote that I saw a long time ago. It said, if you want new ideas, you ought to read old books. And I read a lot of old books. And what got me started down this road is I started reading old physiology books. And you realize that physiology really hasn't changed. Now, we may have gotten into some more detail about how things work, but physiology has been studied and talked about since the beginning of time. How does this body work? Where did we come from? Where do we go? All civilizations have asked that question and had to try to find the answer. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn by remembering. We're going to try and remember some of those lessons that have been passed down through generations. So let's go to the slides. Rebel is a little sick today, so I'm going to be gentle with her. She's not feeling so good. So learning is remembering. So what women, clinicians, and humanity has forgotten. And there's a lot of information. They're saying that everything that you need, everything that ever, all the information that ever was, is here and has always been here. Now, you know, I've kind of gotten into quantum physics to help me explain spirituality, but what that concept is that all the information that you need is already here. Is not necessarily new information. We just have to remember it, and maybe we describe it a little bit differently. Maybe it's quantum physics, maybe it's science, maybe whatever, but it's still just remembering things that have been around since the beginning of creation, really. All right. So I'm going to go to the next slide. Now, when I was remembering things, this is something that I had in a presentation that I used to give to physicians and to lay people. And it says, Socrates said, learning is remembering. So now you have to think that Socrates lived hundreds of years ago, and he's learning by remembering something that was before him. So he learned by listening to others. And I'll tell you where he learned it from. He learned it by studying the ancient Egyptians. And that's something that I learned and had to remember when I went to Egypt. And I'll show you some pictures of that. But most of these Greek philosophers, they learned from the ancient Egyptians. Okay, so 6, 7, 8,000 years ago, they had knowledge that they have been passing down, and all we need to do is to remember it. And that's what I'm talking about. There, just remember what has already been passed down to you. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So learning is a new information. Okay, learning is remembering what's already within you. Innate wisdom resides in your cells, passed down through generations. What modern medicine calls discovery often just uncovers what the body has already known. And that's what I'm talking about, quantum physics. When I was in medical school, I'll tell you something. When I was in undergrad, I took molecular biology, we took physics, but there was no such thing as quantum physics. And I used to have this recurring dream for the last 20 years that I had missed a class at my college. I went to Vanderbilt, and I said, oh my God, I'm not going to graduate because they said I missed a class. I would have this recurring dream and wake up and like, oh my God. And then last year, something came to me and said, what I haven't learned is quantum physics. And in order to really understand spirituality and longevity and look at it in a scientific way, I need to understand quantum physics. And quantum physics tells you that, hey, yes, you have things that have been passed down. You have energies, you have circumstances that have been passed down through generations that's in your DNA. There's something called your mitochondrial DNA that you can trace back to the beginning of humanity. So there's a lot of things that are written in your DNA. Now, here's the key. You don't have to be governed by your DNA. There's things you can do with mindset mastery, with different things that you do in lifestyle that can make sure that some of those memories can remain suppressed, but those things are there. And if you remember them and bring them to light, a lot of times you can deal with them. And that's what therapy and all that stuff is. And that's why I think so many people have therapists, is because of this generational pain and suffering that people have gone through for thousands of years, especially women being even now, treated poorly, all of these scandals of women being, abused, and that hurt can go from generation to generation. So let's keep going. So physiology is memory. Your body carries a blueprint for your being. This biological fact is woven into your DNA and expressed in daily life. You have hormonal memory, signaling systems that orchestrate every bodily function. And that's why I'm so into hormones, because hormones control emotions, and feelings are encoded in neural pathways and biochemical responses. So your emotions govern your biology. When you think, stressful thoughts, all of these chemicals are made. You have a real pharmacy in your brain and in your body. It makes all kinds of chemicals. It makes more chemicals than any pharmaceutical company could ever make. And certain thoughts and emotions will trigger certain bodily functions. You know how it is. You get goosebumps when you're, when you are, touched by something. You get, your heart starts to beat fast when, the bill collector calls. You have all of these chemicals that rush out based on your thoughts. So here's a key thing that I've learned. You can think yourself sick and you can think yourself well. And that's why I'm a big proponent of meditation, because in meditation is when your body can heal. So anyway, ancestral genetic wisdom passed down, carrying resilience and adaptation. And I want to talk about that when we talk about resilience and adaptation, when I talk to you about my trip to Ghana and some of the things I learned and remembered from that. And then spiritual connection to something greater, felt deep knowing. And for some reason, since the beginning of written history, people have always wanted to connect to a higher power. Everybody has that feeling that there's something greater than themselves, and you need to connect with that, because that's how you survive this human experience, is by knowing that there's something more than this physical body. And you want to take care of it, because your body is the temple. This is where your true self is housed, is in this body. So you have to take care of it, but you have to know that you're not all just that body. So the blueprint guides you to balance. Your body already knows how to heal. The question is, are we listening? And again, in meditation, when you can quiet down all the noise, that's when your body can heal, because it feels safe. It's not in fight or flight. It's in rest and digest and recovery. And even if you can do that for 15 or 20 minutes a day, it can make a difference. I know it. Join my school group and I kind of keep you updated on my meditations. All right. This is something else I remembered. I had a slide presentation for lay people, and it was primarily women. And I always had this quote, and I couldn't find the slide. And I said, let me just try and remember this quote. And this is it. Women possess a unique spiritual sense, an ability to attune to the wisdom within themselves. And this inner knowing has been systematically ignored by medicine. And that's what, I've been married for 40 years. And the first 10 or 15 years, well, the first 7 to 10 years of my life, of my marriage, I didn't listen to my wife. Okay. She would tell me something, or she would say, watch out for this. And I thought she was being paranoid. She's being petty, whatever. And then over the course of time, I start to realize that she has some kind of discernment that I don't have. Okay, you just do it. Now, maybe it's just my wife, but my wife's a psychiatrist, so maybe that has something to do with it. But she practices functional medicine like I do. But women know things; they just do, and they know about their bodies. I used to say, men, they don't pay attention to anything. The only time they think that there's a medical emergency is when they have erectile dysfunction. That's the only time, or if they have a massive heart attack. They are not in tune with their bodies like women are. And I've been talking to women for 30 years as an OBGYN, and I don't argue with a woman. If they say something is wrong, I will dig until I find it, because they have an inner knowing. They have this deep intuitive connection to their bodies, because, maybe because they go through menstrual cycles, so they go through all of these different feelings. And so they recognize things. Spiritual awareness of internal rhythms and cycles, because their body is governed by those cycles. Innate ability to sense imbalance before the tests show it. That's why all these women, when I'm on TikTok, they're saying, I keep going to the doctor. I know something's wrong, and they keep telling me I'm fine. These women know what they're talking about. We have just failed them because we haven't remembered how to test their hormones. That's our problem. The wisdom dismissed as emotional or irrational. Yes, an imbalance in hormones will make you emotional or irrational, but it's not because it's not their fault. It's because we haven't helped them balance out their emotions by understanding how to help them balance their hormones. So what medicine called hysteria was often called women listening to their bodies. That's all they're doing. They're listening. They listen. We don't. How many times, if you're a woman, how many times have you said, I wish my husband would just listen. I can't tell you how many women have complained. And I didn't know how to listen to my wife. It took time. So women know things, and that's why men need women more than women need men. I know I'm kind of getting off the subject, but if a couple has been married for a long time, 30, 40, 50 years, and the wife dies, the husband will usually, and a lot of times, pass away not long after her. But women can live 20, 30 years after their husband dies, or if they get divorced or whatever. We need women. Women don't necessarily need us, you guys. I hate to tell you that. So why women suffer? For decades, women with debilitating symptoms were dismissed as imbalanced, are all in their head. It's not in their head, you guys. It's in their hormones, and it's in their nervous system. Medicine forgot physiology, and women didn't. Okay? Women know that their periods cause problems. Women know that when they have fibroids, that there's something deep inside that is, it's causing an imbalance. We are the ones, or I had forgotten it. And the reason why I had forgotten it, because I really wasn't taught it. I was taught it, and then I was told to not remember it. And I'll tell you how that works. Women understand their body's rhythms because their whole life is built around that menstrual cycle rhythm. Puberty is going into the rhythm. Then you are reproductive, and that rhythm has to be maintained so you can reproduce. Then you go out of that rhythm in perimenopause and menopause. So they understand, they go through all of those shifts and cycles and rhythms. So they pick up on things more than men who are just, men are simple, women are complicated because they have a lot of things going on. And women are creators. It takes a lot to create things. Okay, so they create. They are they create life. That's why women in the ancient times were worshipped, because they thought that they were closer to the creator because they could create. And that sentiment is starting to grow, you guys. All right, so here's the disconnect. Symptoms are real, like fatigue, anxiety, pain, brain fog, irregular cycles. They are real, and they disrupt a woman's life. And they don't only disrupt, we talked about that before. They disrupt their life, it disrupts their lives, it disrupts the relationship between the spouse, it disrupts the family's life, it disrupts the community's life, the school, the edge. Everything can be disruptive if a woman's hormones are out of balance, or even a man's hormones are out of balance, because it controls so much. And then the blood work is normal. Labs come back normal. I hear it over and over again, and I've told you why, and I'll tell you again. This is the cruel paradox women face. Their lived experience clashes with lab results. Who's right? Okay. The issue isn't women. The issue is the measurement. We're using the wrong tools for the problem. And how did I learn that? I learned it because my wife was dealing with these issues when she turned around 33, 34, 35. And I saw what I learned in my residency didn't work, giving birth control pills and antidepressants. It doesn't work. I didn't know it because I was spending 10 or 15 minutes with the patient, and I wasn't living with them 24/7. When I saw what was happening 24/7, thank God I had a patient come in and ask me if I knew anything about hormone replacement and saliva testing. That's why you listen to your patients, because they'll tell you things. That patient changed my life, and I don't remember who that patient is. And I wish I could remember that, because I should give her a gift and give her a commission on anything that I've earned, because that encounter changed my life. And that's how one encounter can totally change the course of your life. All right. This is the change that I went through early in my career, 25 years ago when we wrote that book. Remembering physiology. I went back and read the physiology book, and this is what I saw, is that for years, we have relied on serum testing, measuring hormones bound to the bloodstream proteins. Now, I will tell you this. I did a residency at Emory University here in Atlanta, and we never even thought about drawing blood for hormones because we knew it wouldn't tell us anything. And people are forgetting that. And I have to remember, this is a whole new generation of doctors. I used to speak about all of this 10, 15 years ago, but there's a new generation of doctors who are being indoctrinized in this testing for blood, and I'm out to make them remember again. I try and help them remember what you're really supposed to do. Because bioavailable measurements, saliva measures the free unbound hormone, the fraction that actually reaches the tissue and does something. Okay, what the tissue sees, this is the hormone activity your cells experience, not what's locked in the binding proteins. The blood is just a transportation system. Think of it as a FedEx truck that's making deliveries. It doesn't matter how many packages are on the truck. It only matters how many packages come into your house so you can use what was actually on the truck. So the blood just measures how many packages are on the truck. The saliva tells you how many got delivered to a particular tissue. So the body's truth. This is what the body already knows, and what we're finally learning to listen to again. Saliva testing isn't revolutionary. It's been around since 1960, the year I was born. It simply asks the right questions. How much hormone is actually working, and not just how much is in circulation. And this is not a hard concept to grasp, but I'm telling you, it's easier to learn than it is to unlearn. So that's why I'm going to the public, because you guys, I don't have to try and get you to unlearn. Physicians have learned the wrong way. So now their job is twice as hard. So I'm trying to educate the public, and I want you to help educate the doctors, just like that patient came and educated me. So I got to think that there's other doctors out there who are receptive. And if you come in with, with reliable information, that's why I'm starting a hormone clarity course in my school group. And I am trying to recruit hormone clarity coaches, that there are regular people who can talk about this information and hopefully tell a doctor the same thing that a patient told me. Also, this kind of information can help any kind of person who's dealing with women and men, or women in general. If you're a marriage counselor, if you're a life coach, if you're a fitness coach, if you could help a woman with their hormones, that innate sense of spirituality, how they are in tune with their bodies, and help them to understand it, you would be a rock star to those people. All right. So let me talk about what my kind of awakening is, and my learning is remembering. I had to remember that my history didn't start when I came to America. That's why I've been going to Egypt and Ghana and all this, because I want to remember. I want to remember, where did I come from? Who am I? So certain places thin the veil between past and present. Walking ancestral lands can profoundly reshape one's understanding of self. And when I go to those places, and I see, and I'll show you some pictures, you guys, of in Ghana, this it's called the Door of No Return. All of the magnificent things in Egypt, and to see, wow, there we go, the Door of No Return. Okay, yeah, there it is. So this is, let me tell you what this is. If you open that door, it opens up to the ocean, to the the Atlantic. And when slaves went through that door, they didn't return. Nobody returned to tell the Africans what was going on once they went to America. So it's called the Door of No Return. And I want to tell you that everybody who was over there, who's our guides, it says, please go back and tell this story. Make people remember so it doesn't happen again. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, is that I have to go back and tell this story, because we don't want this to happen again. And I'm not trying to get political or anything, but just don't let something even close to this happen again. And let me tell you one other thing. So let's go back to that Door of No Return. So there were 66 million slaves that were brought to this West Shore in Ghana. 66 million. Only 12 million actually made it to America, or to anywhere. So only 12 million made it out of 66 million. So because they had to walk these slaves, while the slave drivers were on a horse, they would walk them to the shore. Sometimes it was 100 miles. and they were in shackles. So some of them died on the way. The other words, and so I just want you to, these are the things that you have to remember. I'll get to the good part here in a minute. So what happened is that if they were too weak by the time they got to the shore, they would be shot and thrown in the river. Okay. Then they would have the auction. And at the auction, if you didn't get bought, you were shot and you were thrown in the river. Okay. And then a lot of them died in the transatlantic slave trade. So you got to think that means 58 million didn't make it. 12 million. Is that right? Is that right? 66. Yeah, whatever. 54 million. Okay. Didn't make it. But here's what gave me strength, and what I need to remember is that I'm the descendant of the 12 million strongest Africans that were brought over. Okay. So I needed to remember that to understand the strength that I have inside of me. Okay. In my DNA. So that's the kind of things that I'm talking about. Learning is remembering. I learned a lot about myself, about remembering, even though it was an atrocity. I learned something that strengthened me by remembering where I came from. Okay. So let's go to the next slide, the one from Egypt, the picture. I think I have. Yeah. So this is when I talk about ageless blueprint. Look at these hieroglyphics. These were in tombs that was like 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years ago. Look at the colors. And let me tell you, everything you see here is a message. It is a message. It is a blueprint. Okay. And you see the sun there. All of that has a message. And when they discovered the Rosetta Stone, it helped them to translate these hieroglyphics. And this is where I got the idea of ageless blueprint, that these guys are trying to tell us about life and how the world works and how nature works. This is all a blueprint, and they're trying to pass this down, you guys. They're trying to pass it down, and we just need to remember it. We need to learn this and listen, and it can give us, this is what Socrates was talking about. Socrates is talking about, he's remembering what he learned from these guys. Okay, I think I have one more picture, and then we'll go to break. Yeah. So this is Egypt. This is my wife and I in Egypt. And these are the incredible temples that these guys built 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years ago. Okay. So this is just telling us that we are not as advanced as we might think we are. We can't build this. And this is just a minute piece of what was built in Egypt. It is amazing what they built. This civilization, it makes what we're doing look like elementary school. We have all our high rises and all this, but to build this, and a lot of this stone came from hundreds of miles away. I encourage anybody to go to Egypt, go to these places and see that our civilization may not be the greatest civilization that's ever been. Is that these guys invented mathematics and astrology, and all of these things are ageless. That was the inspiration for the ageless blueprint. Let's look at some ageless information. Let's not try and discover something new. Let's learn from what people have already been experiencing and have been going through for years. So it's time to take a break, and then we'll finish this up. But learning is remembering. So let's take a break.
We are going to a quick break, so stay with us as we explore the ageless blueprint right here on W4HC Radio and Talk4 TV. An ancient secret with a modern twist for better health and vitality. Dr. Taylor will be right back. Taking care of your health shouldn't mean taking a handful of pills every day. At Taylor MD Formulations, they create doctor-developed supplements that combine the best natural ingredients so you get the results you need with fewer pills. Taylor MD Formulations is backed by science, designed for real life with real results. Less pills, better health, doctor approved. Shop now at TaylorMDFormulations.com and discover smarter supplements for smarter health. That's TaylorMDFormulations.com. We are back for more of Ageless Blueprint. Once again, let's join Dr. Taylor for more insights and research on the ancient secret to better health and a better life in modern times. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
You know, I was looking at the commercial and it was making me remember again. You know, the reason why I have those pictures and everything in the intro is all the hieroglyphics in ancient Egypt is because it made such a profound impact on my life. So those two pictures that you see, one is the Sphinx is behind me. I just thought that was a majestic, and then the sun is there. But the other picture of the guy with my wife is a guy named Remy. And we met him in Petra. That's in Jordan. And if you don't know what Petra is, look at Raiders of the Lost Ark. And that's where they filmed a lot of that. It's an amazing place. But this was a guy, he wasn't an official guide, but we just started talking to him. And he has lived in the mountains of Petra. Hey, I'm sorry, the landscapers are somewhere in my neighbor's yard or my yard. I'm sorry, I hope you don't hear that. But anyway, we were in Petra, we met this guy. He's been living in the mountains there his family's been living there for the last 500 years. His grandmother just died, she was 106. But they have lived in that area. That's his home. He said, I'm going to take you around my home. And I know I know you've seen the commercial Dos Equis, and they talk about the most interesting man in the world. This was the most interesting man we had ever met. How he talked about how he lived there and survived and how happy he was. You're talking about a guy who doesn't have stress in his life, who's balanced. He's in harmony with nature, and nature takes care of him, and he takes care of nature. That's what he said. And I was envious of him because he had such a simple, joyous life. And we talked to him for 2 hours. We were actually late getting back to our driver because this guy was so interesting. So that's why I'm talking about. You go back to these places, listen to people who've been in an area for 500 years and let them tell you how to live. And it can be very eye-opening. So, all right, let's go back to the slides. All right, so we're done with this. I just wanted to show you how remembering, like say, even remembering slavery has strengthened me to understand the power and the resilience that my ancestors had. So, all right, we'll go to the next slide. Let's see what we got. Oops, let me go back. All right, so hey, here's what I'm finding out. Clinicians are also remembering because I tell you, I'm trying to recruit people to go and talk to physicians. But I'm starting to have physicians call me or get in touch with me because they want to remember too. See, because in medical school, we learned core physiology. We learned it all. The first 2 years of medical school, you learn physiology. It's book learning, it's test taking, all of that. Then the third and fourth year, and in residency, you go into the hospital. And in the hospital, you're taking care of sick people. But the majority of people who doctors see in their office are not actually sick. They are actually have a disturbance in their physiology that's disrupting their function. And that's why I call myself a functional medicine doc, because we want to restore normal function. So anyway, and you have to look at physiology to do that. So you study the HPA axis. The HPA axis is the stress axis. Hormonal cycles, feedback loops, receptor. We learned all of this stuff. All of this stuff that I'm talking about, that I'm trying to teach you, we learned it all. They already know the physiology. But in practice, we were told to forget. The minute you stepped in the hospital, they said, forget all that basic science stuff. I'm going to show you how to write prescriptions. I'm going to show you how to round up people. It really was. Say, hey, look, we're going to teach you how to survive in this hospital. And what they tell you is that it's a see one, do one, teach one world. Whatever you see your upper level resident do, you need to do that. And then you need to teach the lower level one that. And that is a bad, bad system. Because whatever, so that's why nothing changes. So whatever somebody taught taught years and years ago, and somebody saw it, they did it, they taught it. They saw it, they did it, they taught it. And that's what happens in hospital or conventional medicine. We just see one, do one, teach one. We rely on narrow reference ranges. We prescribe protocols, ignoring nuances. We want everybody to fit into an algorithm. If you do this, That's what chemotherapy, if you have this, you do this, this, and that. Have no regard about, hey, what lifestyle changes? What else can we do to try and help control this abnormal growth called a cancer? This misfindings not on standard labs. Yeah, if you don't fit in that reference range, if you don't fit there, or you're not outside of that, they call you normal. But because so many people are abnormal has become normal. There's a book called The Myth of Normal that you ought to read, that how all of these things that have become commonplace have been labeled as normal, but it's just because our whole society is not functioning properly, physically and mentally and spiritually, because all of the noise that is around us. And I'm not just talking about the landscape of noise, yes. All right, we just weren't allowed to apply it. As clinicians, we just weren't allowed to apply the science that we knew, because we learned in the first 2 years, because in the third year, they tell us to forget it and start doing hospital work. And then once you leave residency, you go back into a office where most people aren't sick. And so it's frustrating for doctors and it's frustrating for patients. And that's why I'm really trying to start a movement of hormone clarity so that everybody can stop being frustrated, patients and doctors, right? So why this matters: when clinicians and women understand physiology as the body's innate wisdom and not a system to override, everything shifts. Just start listening, you guys. Stop trying to push a protocol on people. Try to understand what's going on. Do the proper test, ask the right questions, and you'd be surprised at how it just settles everybody. Everybody becomes happy. I don't have a lot of frustrated patients. They walk in frustrated, but hopefully I can explain what is going on with them, and they walk out with understanding. That's really what they want. They just want to understand what's going on and how can they correct it. They don't want to be labeled as normal or emotional or irrational, or they're just a woman. You're just acting like a woman. No, they're acting like someone who needs our assistance, and they really need the assistance in understanding. And that's why I'm trying to educate women. All right. So treatment becomes clear when you understand protocols address root causes, not just surface symptoms. Okay, we want to get to the root. And a lot of times the root cause is stress. And that's why we wrote that book, The Stress Connection, because it's connected to so many um, uh, bodily systems, so many organ systems. Women heal when you change this perspective. They get validation, they get precise testing, and they get physiology-driven care enable recovery. When you fix I see it all the time. I do a test. It shows that they have low progesterone. You give them progesterone, and they say, "I feel like myself again." They have low cortisol. We fix their cortisol. Oh, I have energy again. I can concentrate again. I can sleep again. It's getting to the root cause. In medicine, we try to give you a pill for each symptom. But if you have 10 symptoms that's caused by one root cause, if you can fix the root cause, 10 symptoms go away. And you don't have to give a drug for each one. So healthcare shifts from symptom management to restoring physiologic balance. That's what I'm trying to say in a nutshell. We get away from this symptom management and just say, you can't sleep, here's a sleeping pill. You can't stop eating, here's a appetite suppressant. Here's a weight loss drug. If you get hormones corrected, a lot of things get better. So here's your next breakthrough. Your next breakthrough isn't new. See, I have to I have to discuss this when I put something out and doctors see it. They want to tell me about all the new studies. Did you know there was a study about this? Did you know there was a study about that? Let me tell you what studies can do. They can come up with any outcome you desire. You can design a study to say whatever you want it to say. If you want it to be positive, you can make it positive. If you want it to be negative, you can design the study so that it gives you a negative outcome. Now, they try to say that there's no bias in these studies, but there's always bias. But what is not biased is this ageless information. The book we wrote 25 years ago, because I based it on physiology, I really don't have to change a word in it. It's just as relevant today as it was when we wrote it, because we didn't base it on trends like pellets and testosterone and this and that. We didn't base it on any trends. We based it on what the physiology book said and what we have seen in our clinical practice. We know that a small, correct change can make a world of difference. And so that's what I'm trying to get across to you, is that stop looking for something new. Look inward. Your body will tell you what needs to be done. And then you need to try and express this. And if you can't express it, then I will help you express it. Join my school group. It's all of my links are right there. I have a school group. I have a hormone clarity course. Here's what's free. You can join it for free, and I give an ageless tip of the day every day. Today I talked about meditation. Uh, I had a whole series on Mythbusters. And then we have this mini hormone clarity course. It's absolutely free, just trying to give you the basics. And then we are having a more structured educational program where if you get the saliva test, you go through this learner course where it teaches you about saliva testing, teaches you about this, so that maybe you'll go into another doctor and explain it to them or show them how that test helped you. And you would be the spark to get a doctor to hopefully do what I did, to start investigating it. All right. And then we have another course that is an educator course. That's for people who already have an audience of marriage counseling, where this kind of information would help them if they had precise testing. I have a patient who's a marriage counselor, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I knew that hormonal issues were a problem in relationships, but the patient would keep saying that the blood test said her hormones were normal. So they were in a bind. They didn't know what to do." So, and I'll just tell you, my wife, being a psychiatrist, she started to realize when she was doing psychiatry, when she looked back, when she remembered, she learned something. She said, "Hey, look, most of my patients were between 40 and 60. And I was labeling them as bipolar and giving them medicines for bipolar, but they were really having emotional issues because of hormone imbalances. So that's how we treat those issues now. We don't label people with some psychological problem. They're just going through a natural change, a natural cycle. So that is what is important. So that's what we talk about learning, is remembering, is that if you can remember what your body is trying to tell you, and if you can learn it. So, I know I was talking about all of the things that we offer there. Then we also have a professional level. If you do have a doctor that you introduce this to, and they say, where could I learn more about this? This seems to be interesting. That's in my school group too. And I would really ask you to go there, investigate it. You can ask me questions there. And I'll just give you that. It's www.school, and you spell it SKOOL.com/ageless. And please join it. It's for free. That is how you can learn some of this information. And hopefully you can be a part of this movement that we're trying to bring hormone clarity to women. I am on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. All of my links are there. This is kind of my final, I won't say final. This is the mission that I have right now. And this is the kind of thing that kind of gave me a rebirth. People are starting to say I look younger, and I think I look younger because I have a purpose to live for. I get up every morning and I work on that school group that I'm telling you about, or I'm doing a YouTube video, or I'm preparing for a podcast, because I have so much passion for this. I've been doing this for 30 years. I used to do it by flying around and speaking at conferences, but now I have realized the power of social media, and I'm trying to use every platform possible because women need to understand this information. All right. So, hey, Rebel is sick. I don't know if we had any questions. Uh, I can keep going, but do we have any questions? You can pop them up or whatever. She is really sick. I didn't want to talk because she really sounds like she's struggling.
They they have questions about program that you're starting. Can you go over the program
Yeah,
again?
yeah. Okay. Can I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So let me see. Share screen. Share screen. Hopefully, let me see what I got popped up. I hope nothing. Okay. So, I can. Let me just go to Google. Share. School. All right. So, can you see this? Can you see this?
I can.
Oh, okay, great. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. So you see school here?
I see Google.
Okay. All right. So let me go back. Yeah. Let me try and do this again. I'm just going to share my whole thing. I don't see anything that's bad. All right. So now you see me again, right? So this is school. Can you see this?
I can.
All right. So this is my ageless tip. Okay. This is me meditating. This is the classroom here. Okay, so this is the Hormone Clarity mini course. This is the Hormone Clarity learner level. If you go here, you get a saliva test, and I'll give you all of what's going on with you, and you also can learn some things here also. This is an educator course where if you have an audience and you want to teach other people, you can go here. This is another. We talk about 5 pillars of agelessness. Everything is right here, but this right here is free. Okay, and the community is free. Is that we talk about things. I post something every day, people comment. So it's really a great community. I try to give you good information. We have calls, we have calendar, where we have calls for different areas. So that's what that's what I'm doing, you guys. All right, you can come back to me. So if you have any interest, you can go to www.school-ageless or /ageless and just look around. Again, if now some of the information, some of the courses come with a $10 a month subscription, but there's a lot of free information. I'm really trying to educate people as much as possible, make it easy as possible, and make it as accessible as possible. So, any other questions, Rebel?
That's pretty much what you're asking. Um, they were all different kind of questions, and the learning how to.
You broke up. You broke up a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. They were basically all questions regarding the school group and how to get on the program you were talking about.
Okay, great. So I'm glad I shared screen. If that was your major question, because that's how you can stay in kind of constant contact with me. If you ask a question on that platform, I will answer it. I will answer it before the end of the day. That is my major uh, platform that I work from. So if you get in touch with me or you connect with me there, it won't be a problem. You can ask any questions. If there's things that you want to know and it's not there, um, hey, I'll try to provide it for you. In that educator group, it's a really cool thing. I actually have a chat GPT that has all of my transcripts from all of my lectures and everything in there, and where they can actually pull from that and they can help educate their market or their clientele. They can get podcast ideas, they can get all kinds of things. I'm trying to duplicate myself. I've been trying to do this by myself for 25 years, and I need some help. And that's why I started this a year ago, is that I need to spread this information because it's vital. It's information. I talk about women learning about their hormones. It's something you should have learned in 8th grade health class. When you first started having menstrual cycles, somebody should have taught you this, and maybe they did and you just didn't remember. So I'm trying to help you to remember what you should have already learned, but intuitively you already know. So that's the issue. So, hey, we're right at 50 minutes here. And that's my whole thing, is that you just have to remember what your body already knows. That's the key. All right. I'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for joining Dr. Taylor today. If you missed any part of this show, just check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Ageless Blueprint is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. Together, we discover the ancient secrets to better health through science and spirituality made for modern times. Until then, feel free to check out agelessblueprintpodcast.com and taylormdformulations.com for more information.
Hey, Rebel, I'm sorry.